with this aircraft, there are 6 emergency exits.
Hello, everybody. This is Rod, your captain speaking. We are currently 30,000 feet in the air, and we haven't even left the airport. We just lit the joint. Just kidding, a little pilot humor there. We like to have fun. Our destination today is Casablanca, Morocco. So everyone, sit back, fasten your seatbelts, and prepare for takeoff. We will be arriving in 6 hours.
What's going on, 7-footers gang? It's your girl Jenna here, and the king himself, Jarod. That's right, Jarod. I noticed that I've been doing like a lot of similar intros, aka like the past 12,000 seasons I've had said the same thing. So we're gonna switch it up. He's the king.
I like
the
it.
King ain't in the playoffs.
I like it. I like it. I'll take that. I'll take that. I'll take that moniker. I'll take that crown gladly.
I love it. I love it. That's only because my king ain't in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying. But Jarod, can you believe it? We're already at the conference finals.
Yeah.
Can you believe it?
It's crazy. You know, the NBA season does this to us every year, right? It starts and you're like, oh my God, how are we gonna, it seems like the playoffs are so far away, and and then it's just, everything just steamrolls, right? And it was not too long ago. We had 2-3 games a night. Now we're down to 1 game a night. And soon it's gonna be a game every other night once we get to the finals, or every 2 nights. So, it's a wonderful time of the year. We're getting to see great teams with a chance to win that gold trophy at the end, which is, what they play for.
Very interesting times that we're living in, Jarod, because let's face it, this is the last season before all the stars come back. So we have new stars emerging, and things are getting crazy out here in these streets. But before we talk about the conference finals, let's take a little look back at the end of the second round series here, because the way it ended with the Clippers and the Jazz. I mean, Jazz, number 1 team in the West.
Yeah,
got
man.
bounced by the Clippers with a massive comeback. No Kawhi due to a sprained left knee. And then PG-13 lives up to his playoff P moniker. Talk to me about the end of that series, because a lot of people probably lost a lot of money in the betting world when that Game 7 closed out.
Game 6, you mean? Yeah,
Or Game 6.
Jazz
Yeah,
went
I
up.
think Game 7.
Jazz went up, 2-0, right? And it was like, all right, well, it's a wrap. And then the Clippers just said, nah, we good. Right? The Clippers just came back and they blitzed them 1-4 straight, and won without Kawhi. And for the last few, look, Rudy Gobert is getting sort of a lot of slander on the interwebs, right? And it's like, I thought this guy was Defensive Player of the Year, all this and all that. And I think, look, as with everything, Jenna, it isn't just one thing that causes a team to win or one thing that causes a team to lose, right? It's a multitude of things that cause that, right? Okay. Rudy Gobert, we know, is an excellent rim protector. And the way that the Jazz play, that's how they sort of design their defense, right? Is to funnel everybody towards Rudy and deter them and hopefully maintain and keep everybody locked away at the 3-point line. The Jazz perimeter defenders were not good in that series, right? So they were getting beat off the dribble, coming to the rim, so Rudy's got to protect them. But then when Ty Lue, who, by the way, shouts to Ty Lue for making incredible playoff adjustments, when he went small, right, it was, okay, Rudy, we need you to not only protect the rim, but then when they kick the ball out, you have to race back out to the 3-point line and cover the 3-point shooters. Well, he can't do both, right? It's either rim protect or cover on the perimeter, right? Because if he's all the way in the paint and then has to sprint, I mean, he ain't that fast, right? He can't, right? You're never going to move faster than the ball moves. So he's not going to be able to do that. And Quinn Snyder, Jazz coach, while, we sing his praises and he's a good coach, he did not make any adjustments. And, the playoffs are about adjustments, man. When something's not working, you got to do something else. And, they're going to have some decisions to make in Utah. And look, Donovan was hurt, so we'll give him that. But,
And he still had a good game, though, in Game 6.
And he played well. But look, he was out there. And as we said, Kawhi was not. He was out. And, they found a way. So kudos to the Clippers. The Jazz got some soul searching to do. The way that your system is built defensively, you need to have better perimeter defenders because when a team decides to go small, you're going to get cooked because your guys can't guard. Right? Rudy can't cover the paint and also guard on the perimeter. It's too many things to do. So, while a great year for the Jazz, they're going to be feeling this one for a while because they really believed they had a chance to at least go to the conference finals, if not the NBA finals.
Right, exactly. I mean, I would have bet the Jazz, if anything. And not to mention, the Jazz when I look at the Jazz and I associate them with the postseason, unfortunately, although they were the number 1 seed, I associate them with playoff plateaus. That is what they do best. And it sucks because you have guys like Donovan Mitchell who always kind of falls up short in the postseason lately. So we'll see. Shout outs to Clippers Terrence Mann.
Terrence Mann was great.
Career high 39 points, man. Like,
he was awesome.
Dang.
Terrence Mann was great. Reggie Jackson was great. Like, here's the thing about the playoffs, Jenna. And, we always say regular season and playoffs are different, right? Okay. But, what does that actually mean? Well, here's what that means. When you have a weakness in your game, in the playoffs, it gets exploited, right? The problem is that when you are a coach and you're trying to figure out lineup changes and you're trying to do different things to game plan and scheme against a team during a series, if you have to put players out on the floor who have glaring weaknesses that are going to get attacked, that forces you as a coach, you have to scout your own team, right, to prepare for, okay, I know I'm putting player X out here and he doesn't do so well covering in space. So even though I need him for his rim protection and his rebounding, I have to be mindful of if the other team goes small, I'm going to get hurt if they catch him in space, right? So you have to think about that. When you have a team like the way Ty Lue did, right, where when he went small, he didn't have to worry about that so much, right? It was like, okay, I might give up a little bit of rebounding, but everybody on the floor right now with this lineup can pass, dribble, shoot, and can at least stay in front of their man, right? That gives you so much more of an advantage when you don't have to worry about the things that your guys cannot do. And now you can attack the other team. And again, we'll talk about this when we get to another series. This is incumbent on these players that if you're going to be that dude, you can't have any holes in your game, man. Like, you really can't.
Amen to that. So we'll see how Dwayne Wade and the Jazz tackle this off season. Because you know what I'm saying.
I love how Dwayne Wade is now the head of the Jazz. He's like a minority owner. He got like probably 2% stake, but it's like, I'm Dwayne Wade.
And you're sitting on the baseline coaching Donovan Mitchell from your seat.
I know. Listen. You love it. This is all part of the.
I love it.
Yeah. This is all part of the Jenna narratives, and I know. Let's roll with it.
It did get me. Love you, DM. Anyway, gosh. All right. Now, let's talk about the conference finals because we got the Clippers and we got the Suns, the Chris Paul-less Suns. But before we get to CP3, the Suns lead the series 1-0, and Devin Booker was magnificent in game 1 of the series. He had a triple-double, 40 points, 13 rebounds, 11 assists, his first career triple-double, and to have it in game 1 of the conference finals is pretty epic. And, there's comparisons floating around the internet who people are saying that he's the next Kobe Bryant and all these things, and people, obviously take issue with that because let book be book is what they say. But Devin Booker is a beast. CP3 is still showing out. We don't know the status on Kawhi Leonard and that right knee sprain. I said left before, my B right there. And funny detail, Ty Lue, who's getting a lot of praise in the postseason here, did you see that report where he was texting Kawhi about the series, and Kawhi wanted to FaceTime, which I never thought in my entire being Kawhi would ask somebody to FaceTime.
Because you don't think of Kawhi talking, right? Ever.
Well, exactly. So then it's Ty Lue who actually comes out and says, I don't FaceTime. You're not going to FaceTime. I mean, dang, Ty Lue, you coach LeBron James, and now you're out here telling stars, how you want to communicate. You know what I'm saying? All jokes to Ty Lue, love him. But let's talk about the series.
Yeah.
Do you think it is terrible for the Clippers if they were to go down 2-0? I mean, seeing that the comeback they just made against the Jazz.
I mean, look, the Clippers clearly, they found something, right? Like, and remember what I said last year. As a team, did they galvanize and come together after blowing that 3-1 lead to Denver, right? What did that do for them in the offseason? And we always talk about how, and it's the history of the NBA, right, Jenna? Teams have to go through adversity and challenges over the years to then come back fortified and stronger as they go forward, right? We're seeing that with the Milwaukee Bucks in a way, right? A couple years of playoff disappointment, They fought their way through a grueling 7-game series, which we'll talk about later, and are in the conference finals. Are the Clippers now, right? Same thing with them. First time in the conference finals in their franchise history. So I don't think they're going to be nervous if they go down 0-2, right? I think they're going to be like, look, guys, we can do this. We can get better. But there are things they're going to have to do tactically to get better. And if Kawhi doesn't come back, it's going to be challenging because Phoenix is, look, I've been telling y'all for months, Phoenix is good, right? Like, they have all the pieces you need to be a title contending team. And you're seeing it. And by the way, they're doing this without Chris Paul right now, which is telling me that what Monty and Chris have done in terms of the culture and empowering the other players, they feel comfortable campaign stepping up into that role on the conference finals stage, right? This ain't a regular season game on Wednesday against Orlando, right? This is the conference finals where he's like, I'm not nervous, I'm cool, and step in and run. Like that shows that they've empowered the team. Our coach Thorpe on True Hoop likes to use the term royal jelly, right? And it's this idea that when you empower those around you and you give them opportunities to do things in meaningful spots, when you need them to perform, it's not going to be, oh shit, I don't know what to do, I've never been here before. Nah, we're good. And Chris and Monty have instilled that confidence in them, right? And so the Suns, man, they're incredible right now. I think the Clippers are going to have to be a little bit better. The Suns do a lot of weak side ball action, cutting and stuff like that. The Clippers cannot fall asleep on that. Like, when your man gives the ball up, that doesn't mean, all right, cool, time for me to rest. Like, pay attention to what he's doing, because if he cuts and you just, again, we talk about this, Jen, all the time, it's margins. If you just fall asleep for half a second, cook, right? That's a layup. That's it. It's and so you have to be on your P's and Q's for the whole time on defense. So they need to be better than that in game 2. They have to be mindful, as I said, about the backdoor cuts. Look, if you're going to play zone, be better about the zone and don't allow the Suns to attack the middle like they did in game 1. And then look, Devin Booker is who he is, right? Like, I know that, like, the thing is, when you with superstar, Jenna, as I always say, and that's what Devin Booker is now. He's approaching superstar status. You are never going to stop a superstar. That's not a thing. But what you want to do is make them inefficient, right? If he scored 40 points on 20 shots last game, well, we want you to score 40 on 35 shots this game, right? Because now that's extra possessions that are empty, and we're getting a rebound and work, right? That's what you want to do. But you don't want him killing you like you did in game 1 with that efficiency. That's the challenge. And so the Clippers got their work cut out for them because this Suns team can make them pay in ways that the Jazz can't. So like when they go small, they did against Rudy, and had Rudy to cover the paint and sprint out. DeAndre Ayton's a much better defender at doing that, like in terms of covering in a little bit more space. And the way that they play their coverages, they can do different things. And again, that roster top to bottom, everybody can contribute and they're not afraid. It should be a hell of a series.
Love to hear it. Really quick, let's talk about Chris Paul, because again, we know him and Kawhi are both out for game 2 in Phoenix. But let's say really quick, the Suns have not come out, and CP3 has not come out and confirmed that he tested positive for COVID-19. However, Chris Haynes of Yahoo Sports said that he has tested positive for COVID-19 and is asymptomatic. He posted a video on Father's Day with his kids, looks to be in good health, in good spirits, which is great. But again, we have no confirmation from the direct source. Nobody's really saying a lot, but CP3's on FaceTime in the locker room and things like that. Hypothetically speaking, we know he's out for game 2. However, if he happens to be out for game 3 and even game 4, what do the Suns need to do different to sort of compensate for his presence on the floor? Not that you could fully do that because he is CP3, the point guard. But what can Monty and Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton, what can they do for this offense really specifically with CP3 out, hypothetically speaking? So
the Suns just need to keep playing the same way they've been playing, right? Campaign doing his thing right now. The challenge, of course, is that when Campaign gets a rest, because he's normally Chris's backup, right? When Chris sits. Well, now when Campaign sits, you're getting into your third string point guard, which is, most teams don't have a top tier third string point guard, right? That's just how it goes. That further down the depth chart you go, the lesser the player gets, right? That's just the nature of sport. But you may have to increase Cam's minutes a little bit, and then late in games, Devin Booker may have to be the person to bring the ball up and play that CP3 role and play point guard like he did at the end of game 1, which he can do, right? He's got experience doing that, running the pick and roll and playing their offense. So they're going to have to be mindful of that. I think for Phoenix right now, what they're hoping is, we have heard reports that Chris is vaccinated. So can he get 2 to 3, I believe it's 3 consecutive tests to show up negative? Because if he can do that, then I believe he will be able to come out of the COVID protocol. So we'll see, where that is and what all transpired with that.
Yeah. All right. Well, series prediction. Let's hear it.
I just love this Suns team, man. I do. I just think that it's their time. I think Chris will come back at some point. But I do think the Clippers can win some games. So this is not going to be a sweep like they did against Denver. This is a 6 or 7 game series. The thing about it is I don't know the Kawhi status. That's the only thing that's making me very hesitant. I'm like, if it's an ACL in that same leg where I don't know. So I'm going to go Suns in 6.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go Suns in 7.
Okay, all right.
Oh, this is going to be fun. I think we should have some red wine. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. All right. I like this. I can't wait to watch this one. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
All right. Let's talk really quick. Let's take a look back. The Bucks, who we know have advanced to the conference finals, but let's chat really quick about that second round series with the Sixers, because that has dominated the headlines as of late. And like I said before we taped this, I hope Ben Simmons is on an island with no cell service at all. And I don't even want to joke about it because it is that bad. I really hope he's not reading the mounting analysis of his performance in that series, because he failed to attempt a shot in the fourth quarter out 5 of the 7 games. He historically poorly shot from the free throw line, literally, historically. Those stats to come later because your girl don't have them in front of her. But, yeah, it wasn't good. I mean, and then there was that viral moment when he had a wide-open, uncontested dunk and decided to pass it to Matisse Thybulle. I don't know why, because dunking is what Ben Simmons does. But at that point, people are saying the confidence was depleted. And Magic Johnson even came out and said that they lost that game, or they lost that series in game 5. Even Magic Johnson and a ton of people out there have said Ben Simmons can't recover from this. The Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons experiment should be done in Philadelphia. And even Doc Rivers came out and said that he didn't know that he could answer if he was a championship level point guard. So, yeah. And then Joel Embiid comes out and throws his guy under the bus. So in the post game, so that to me right there tells me that there is a legit disconnect. There's something, maybe a little more than frustration at this point, seeing as, again, the Sixers are another team that are a playoff plateau team. Talk to me about this series. Is it over in Philadelphia for the Embiid-Simmons experience?
Well, Jenna, I've always been a proponent on this show that when you have 2 all-NBA players that are 25 and younger, you can't break that up, because those things you don't get those kinds of guys. They don't grow on trees, right? That's not how this game works. It's hard to find guys like that are that good. Sixers had 2 of them. However, and as with everything, the blame is to go around. It's on original management. It's on Ben. It's on coaching. It's on everyone. The fact that he basically has not improved his offensive game since his rookie year is a problem. That is a problem and an indictment. Like, what is going on? Like, again, nobody's saying that he needs to be some knockdown 40% three-point shooter on 10 attempts a game. He doesn't even shoot, right? Like, and again, as I mentioned at the top of the show, in the playoffs, your glaring weakness is going to get picked on and exposed. So, when your teams are playing the Sixers, they're essentially playing 5-on-4 because they don't worry about Ben Simmons because he ain't going to do nothing offensively. Guess what? That's a major advantage for the defense. If I don't have to worry about one dude, I can focus my attention somewhere else, right? That's not good. And so, look, and as you know, I am a fan of Ben Simmons. I think everything else he does in his game is electric. The dude is an all NBA player without being able to shoot. So, I mean,
and
right?
Defender.
And an all NBA defender. So he is excellent at basketball. But again, in the postseason, those things matter. And clearly, there's a mental and performance block that's going on with him. Because you mentioned the play where he had the wide open dunk and he passed to Thibault. The reason why he passed to Thibault was because he was afraid he was going to get fouled. And he didn't want to go to the free throw line and miss free throws. Right? And the problem is, when he's worried about that stops him from being aggressive. Because look, we know he's not going to shoot the ball from the perimeter. But he's 6'10" and a massive human. He can go downhill and get to the rim at will. He can get in the post and do jump hooks because it's hard to. He's a big man to defend, right? He can get the opposing team in foul trouble very easily because he's such a load. But when he's afraid to do those things, well, then what are you doing? And guess what? You can't. The whole game is in a fast break, so you don't get the opportunity to run up and down the court and do all that, right? You got to play in the half court, and when we're in the half court, and I don't have to worry about you, that is a situation. So look, and we know this, Jenna. Daryl tried to trade him during the year. Like, regardless of what Daryl says, right? We know he was on the table for the Houston Rockets in that to potentially get James Harden. The Rockets said, "Nah, we're good," right?
Yep.
So the question now is, and here's the other point. Every team knows this summer that Daryl's going to be trying to trade Ben. Ben's value is at the lowest it possibly could be. What in the world are you going to get back in return? Teams are going to be like, yeah, here are all these first round picks. No, my guy. It's like, here's the thing. We know you want to get rid of him. So, okay, we may give you somebody good, but you're going to give us him and a bunch of other stuff in return. We'll take him. We'll take Matisse Thybulle. We'll take Tyrese Maxey. We'll take this draft pick, that draft. Right? Yep. They're going to ask for the moon and stars because they know you want to move Simmons. They know that. So they're going to be the ones with the leverage and the ones who are going to have the advantage. And I think for Ben, a change of scenery is necessary. I think, just to go somewhere different where a team can get him in there and literally, Jenna, put their arms around him and be like, look, we love you. We think you're a good player. We know you're excellent at these things. I don't care if you go 0 for a million from the free throw line. It doesn't matter. But what matters is you be aggressive. You do these things that make you good, right? You focus on the other stuff and don't make the free throw shooting and the shooting the big deal. No, we want you to do the things, but focus on these other things as well. And I think, the right place, and if you get a performance coach with him, I think those things can happen because he's way too talented to not be able to do that.
100%. It's so hard with Ben Simmons because he does everything else so well. And he's young and he's massive. So, again, it's hard when that confidence isn't there. And you said that he's been struggling with the shot since his rookie year. I saw a quote that was going around the internet today because of obviously all the Simmons news, but it was by Kobe, and it was saying, talking about Ben with his struggling shot, and if he can't get it down, it's pretty much, it's not good. And that was from 2019, and I was thinking to myself, wow, we've actually been talking about this for that long.
Talking about it for a long time. And the thing is, we've seen him shoot before. He's taken jumpers in summer league when he first came as a rookie and at LSU. So I don't know what happened between then and now. Something happened. And clearly it's a mental thing, right? There's something there where there's performance anxiety around that particular part of the game.
It's wild to me, really. So, yeah, you think that he needs to be moved?
Well, yes. Look, you know me. I wouldn't, if I was the GM of the 76ers, and I know, look, Daryl's kind of caught in a tough place because he's like, look, we have a chance with Embiid here. We got to try to maximize this window. Because again, as I said, Jenna, 2 all-NBA dudes in their mid-20s, that you don't break up pairs like that. But if the environment in Philly does not allow for him to have success, you got to move him. But again, teams know you want to move him, so they're going to rake you over the coals and try to take everything you have for giving up on Simmons. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It also depends if you're going to move that massive contract. He just finished the first year of his 5-year, $177 million contract.
Well, that's the thing, right? And so there's only a
So,
few teams who can do it because you're going to have to take back salary that works, right? Like, and how many teams have guys that are willing to move that make that kind of money? That's the other piece of it, right? Everyone's talking Portland as a place. I mean, Portland could work, right? And if you move CJ again, okay, because you think about it actually in Portland, what's their biggest problem? They don't guard anybody, right? Well, you pair Dame with Ben Simmons in that pick and roll, that is money, right? Ben, you just keep going downhill. You guard the hell out of everybody. Don't worry, Dame's got the offense thing. We got guys. We got Norm Powell. We got guys who can shoot and score. That could be something that works. But again, if I'm Portland, I'm not just taking Ben Simmons for CJ. I want Thibault. I want Maxey. I want right. Oh no. You're giving me lots of other stuff too. And if you're Philly, do you want to do that? No.
well, last question about Simmons, because this was an intriguing thought. Is he a point guard? Should he be a point guard?
So positions are kind of funny, right? Because we don't really have positions in basketball. Yes,
No.
we have labels on there, so like the casual fan goes, "Oh, what's this person do?" He's like, but it's who's a lead ball handler, an initiator, and a creator, right? He is a lead ball handler, yes. He really ain't a initiator and creator of offense. Now, in the half court and in the open court on fast breaks, yes, he can do that. Half court, not great, really. Like, because we see when we'll just sag off because he's not going to shoot the jumper, right? So there are things that like he doesn't do well. So in that way, it's kind of Giannis-like, right? Should you be a finisher instead? You just catch lobs and roll to the rim and dunk, right? Because you're so big and so strong and so athletic. I think again, can you have him in that role instead of as a finisher, and then a sometimes ball handler, but not make the ball handling and creation in the half court his primary skill set. In the open court on a fast break, hell yeah, no problem.
Oh, poor Benny. Poor Benny. I mean, it's rough out here, like.
Yo, you think Book and Kendall be like laughing about him?
A little bit. A little bit. I mean, I don't know. Who knows what they talk about? The plane ride from Phoenix to LA is pretty short.
Yeah, it's quick.
I mean, she's got it made. This series, she's going to be at both. She's going to be at all games. Literally, that shit's quick. Let's talk about CJ,
She's out. Yo, she traded up. She was like, yeah, you don't shoot, my dude. I'm going to go ahead with this Book kid.
I'm surprised more people aren't all over that, man, because this is hysterical to me.
It's so wild. Like it is just because of like the contrast in like their games. It's like, yeah.
I can't. It's too much. I'm a predict right now that we're gonna see Simmons back with like Tinashe, his ex that he dumped for Kendall, because she's there on his level right now.
Damn.
No,
Jeez.
get in. I love you, Tinashe. No, I'm just saying, like, Kendall. Left her for Kendall. It was like, ooh. You don't want to be left for a Kardashian. You just don't.
I see. But you're saying Book and Kendall are on that same level right now, is what you're saying, or has Book ascended past Kendall now with the way he's playing?
Well, here's my thing. I think in his mind, he was like, all right, I'm dating Kendall. I can't fucking choke out here, man, because they're going to come after me 10 times hard. Not the sports fans, the Kardashians, the entertainment fans, People Magazine's writing about me now. Like, I got to show the hell out. CP3, are you going to coach me? Yeah. So this is how I think it all, in my head.
In your head, that's how it goes? I get it.
In the NBA, that's how I see it.
That's wild.
You know what I'm saying? All right, let's talk about these Bucks because they were able to fight off the depleted Nets. Some would argue that they really would have gotten smoked if everyone was healthy. You never know. But Giannis and the Bucks came out. They are going to the Western Conference Finals. Let's talk about these Nets really quick. They survived, but do you think that Giannis was exposed in that series?
I mean, we see the limitations in Giannis's game, right? But again, it's like I talked about at the top of the show with when your player has specific weaknesses and limitations, you must scheme around that, right? I've said it forever, like Giannis as this wing initiator, wing creator, that's not really his game because he doesn't shoot, right? Let him finish and do all. When he's in the paint, you saw when he played against in the Nets in that last series, when he was like, forget it, I'm just going to the rim. Nets had no answer, right? Like, because that's your game, my guy. Paint, attack, because nobody can stop you down there. Jumpers, that's a win for the defense, because you're gonna miss way more of those than you make. So we'll take that all day, right? So he has got to be like, nah, forget this. I'm attacking. I'm going to the paint. Look, it was a milestone for the Bucks in the sense that they've underachieved in the postseason the last couple of years, right? They've been the best regular season team and flamed out in, the first or second round. They get back to the conference finals. They beat a Nets team, albeit, a depleted Nets team, right? With Kevin Durant and James Harden on one leg, right? And because Kyrie Irving missed the second half of that series. It just goes without saying that this Nets team, if you win a title this year, I feel like you should feel like, okay, we got one. Because, again, a healthy Nets team next year, how do you beat this team, right? They damn near almost beat the Bucks without their dudes being healthy, right? So, you expect it to be a better showing by them. And, for a first year with these guys all together, battling all the injuries they did pretty damn well considering, right? Again, they were literally a Kevin Durant shoe away from going to the conference finals. We always say margins are thin, right? And part of the reason, that happened is because, Durant was exhausted and played a ton of minutes. I mean, Kevin Durant knows every dimension of the court and knows where he is at all times, right? That's a fatigue error. Like, I'm mentally tired. I'm physically tired, so I'm mentally tired. And you forget to bring the foot back just a little bit behind the line.
Him and them big ass feet. Is it like a size 15 on the line there?
I think it's like a 17 or 18. It's crazy.
Oh, shit. Oh, man.
It's wild.
Dang. No, for real though, you're right. It definitely was. I mean, he played so well and so hard off that Achilles. I mean, he had to have been gassed. And then Harden came out after the series and said that he was playing on an actual grade 2 strain.
Yep.
So, I mean, hey, and he played really well, like, when he was out there, so...
He did his best as he could with one leg, right? I mean, you could see it. He couldn't get to the rim. It was just like, He was just late. But, they fought because these guys want to compete and win championships, and there's something admirable about that. But, in terms of long-term health, not the greatest thing.
No. Let's talk about two teams that are healthy now, the Eastern Conference Finals, the Hawks and Bucks. This is like a Miami Heat story in the bubble. No one thought the Hawks were going to be there.
No one did.
The major underdog story of it all, which is such a great narrative, I think, as well. And I've always been a Trae Young fan.
You have?
Let's talk about how the Hawks can handle the Bucks. How can they stop the Bucks? You can't stop Giannis most of the time, but how can they slow them down or stop them and really take this series?
Can they bait Giannis like the Nets did into taking open jumpers, right? Like, you saw Giannis in Game 7. I think he was either yelling at someone on the Nets bench or yelling to the crowd when he said, if you leave me open, I'm going to take these shots. And they're like, okay. So can you, because at some level there becomes a pride thing, right? Where like Giannis is feeling like, oh, these guys don't respect my shot. I'm going to show them. And it's like, okay, but dude, that's not really the strength of your game, though. The strength of your game is punishing them inside. So can you bait him into doing that? Can Atlanta get Milwaukee to do the things that they did against Brooklyn, which is, no beautiful ball movement. Just try to ISO everybody. Yeah, because we'll predict that. Isolation basketball, even though we have some of the great isolation players in the world, like Kevin Durant, people like that, that is the worst form of offensive basketball because as a defense, you know what's coming, right? If I have to... Now, look, stopping these great NBA players, as I say, that's hard. But if I know that's all I have to worry about, they're just going to play one-on-one, that makes my job easier. I don't have to worry about screens or back cuts or picks or any other kind of thing. It's just the person in front of me, I just got to stay in front of them. That makes your job easier. Ball movement, cutting, that makes your job way harder because you're thinking about a million things. Can you get the Bucks to do simple offense, one-on-one, and not do the zippy ball passing all over the floor? On the Hawks side, I think this is a series they're going to really miss DeAndre Hunter because he's such a good defender and another creator for them. You could stick him on Middleton because Middleton is the barometer for this team. If he's hitting shots from the perimeter and he's doing his thing, they're going to be really hard to stop. But if you can if they had someone to really slow Middleton down, they'd be in great shape. But I just, with Trae Young and Herter, who, I love Kevin Herter, Gallo, and Bogdanovich is hurt. He's got a knee, they...
Cam Reddish is out, too.
Cam Reddish has been out all season, right? So, like, they're going to be short some bodies in this series. I really do. But you know what? I think Trae Young and his brilliance and his moxie and this collective fight they have of, like, we're playing with house money, so we're going to play loose and free. I think it's going to be enough for them to steal a game or two.
To watch Trae Young, I mean, to see it in the series with the Knicks, okay. But, like, to still watch him on this level shoot the way he's shooting is out of control. The confidence, the ease. And he's a smaller guy. And so is Steph Curry, too. So, but, I mean, to see him hitting these shots from, like, half court is actually insane. The upper body strength, especially when you're coming off the dribble, on that
incredible.
Is insane to me.
It's incredible. He reads the game so well. He's so good out of that pick and roll. Like, and look, the Bucks love to play that drop coverage. So hey, you want to play the drop coverage? Trae might kill you with them floaters and foul line jumpers all game if you're going to give that up. So as I say, I think there's some sort of tactical matchups that favor the Bucks, and what's all their size is going to really hurt Atlanta, I think, at times. But look, this team is young. They're fearless. They may come out in the game and just hit 23s, and then Bucks are going home that game, right? Like, they're gonna lose that one. So I just love what I'm seeing out of Atlanta, and in terms of the Bucks, that the question is, if they play free and move the ball and do their thing, it'll be really tough to beat them, because that's stressing the defense, right? You're really making them come apart and not be tethered. So it'll be interesting.
All right, game 1, Wednesday, 8:30 in Milwaukee. Season prediction, Jarod?
Yeah, I just think the Bucks have too much. And I think, again, that win against the Nets was big for them and their psyche. Even though the Nets were hobbled, I think Bucks. But look, the Hawks are going to win a game or two, as I said, so I'm going to go Bucks in 6.
I'm going Bucks in 7. I'm saying both of these series go 7.
Well, look, the NBA will love more 7-game series.
Oh, you know what's up. I mean, it's about that money, honey. You know what's up. All right, let's talk exciting things, because dreams are going to come true very, very soon. The NBA draft lottery is tonight, June 22nd, the night we're recording this. And how exciting is this? Again, still in COVID times, not fully back to normal yet, but it's exciting. There are so many new developments within the NBA, and talk to me about this draft lottery a little bit.
The draft lottery is big, right? So we know the Oklahoma City Thunder have 75 million picks in this draft, right? So they're going to get basically
2 potential top 5 picks.
Right. They're going to get everybody. And the Houston Rockets also have quite a number of picks. And then we have to also look at the pick swap, right? So if Minnesota gets a top 3 pick, they'll keep it. If their pick falls out of the top 3, that goes to Golden State. And Golden State will then have that pick, number 4, let's say it's 4, and then their pick, which would be somewhere around, I want to say, 14 or something like that. But so any pick that Minnesota gets that's not in the top 3, that will convey to Golden State. So it's big. In this draft, as we know, there are a lot of guys at the top that people like. Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley, Jalen Green, Jalen Suggs, Jonathan Kuminga, right? Those are the names that everybody's talking about at the top of the draft that will be interesting. The other thing, too, is that drafts are where teams really show how smart they are, right? Like, yes, those are the 5 names everybody knows, but there's talent all over the world that play basketball. Like, who's going to get that guy from the EuroLeague that nobody's thinking about that, he's going to come over next year and be an impact starter? Like, who's that person that played 4 years at college that, nobody cares, blah, 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 4 years of college, you're not that good. A la Cam Johnson, who is starring right now for the Phoenix Suns, right? Like, who's going to find those guys? So that's going to really test how good your scouting and your front office is. And then, of course, trades, right? If the Warriors end up getting that pick conveyed and it's top 3, do they package that top 3 pick with James Wiseman to get an established star to be on the same timeline as Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson when he comes back? Who knows? Or do they move?
Oh, I just got the chills.
Yeah. Or do they move Andrew Wiggins and that pick for somebody? Who knows, right? So there's a whole lot of things that can happen, but draft lottery time is always exciting. I'll be curious to see how this all shakes out.
Yeah, love it. 14 teams in that draft lottery tonight. And then the draft will be on July 29th.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so exciting. Real quick, because I did see something that made me do a double take. Jalen Green, you mentioned him before,
Mm-hmm.
obviously one of the top picks, or projected
Mm-hmm.
picks, I should say, in the NBA or the upcoming NBA draft. One NBA executive said that he has the potential, once he gets settled, to be a 10-time All-Star and a 25 point per game scorer.
Woo! That is high praise. Look, the talent exists. You know, Jenna, what's so funny about all this stuff? For the majority of people who get drafted, their situation will determine how good they are. And let's be honest.
You're right.
Most of these teams are shitty at player development, and they're just not good at it, right? Like they just aren't. I mean, you can count on your hand the franchises that are actually good at development and like grooming, and like Oklahoma City's, Miami, San Antonio. Right? It's like 3 teams. Everybody else, meh, kind of suspect. So the situation you get drafted to is so important, unless of course you are those generational talents like LeBron James, Kevin Durant, where it doesn't matter where those guys got drafted. They were going to be super duper stars no matter what. But
Right.
not everybody's like that. Most people, is this the right situation to get the most out of this talent? And we'll see. We shall see.
Couldn't agree more. A lot of people don't talk about that too, because look what happened to guys like Markelle Fultz, the number
Absolutely.
1 pick to Philadelphia. Lonzo Ball, people could argue, number 1 pick. So, hey, they were both slow to develop. So we'll see. And, you know, they were projected to do insane things as well. So again, everybody's different. Situations, yes, of course. And I think you said Cade Cunningham too. He can play literally almost the 1 through 5. So
Oh,
we
he's
should
excellent.
see where
6'8".
he'll land.
He's that 6'8" wing, right? Like that you need. That's the size. Like, you know, if you're 6'8", you could pass, dribble, shoot. I mean, that's what you want, right? Like you want that. Like you want somebody who is, you know, I've seen descriptions about him that he's a supersized Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, which is incredible because SGA is great. He's a shorter Ben Simmons with a jumper. Like, I mean, if you could get somebody like that, that's all when we go back to Simmons, we talk about. Imagine, imagine if Ben had a jumper again at that size, right? Like, and all the things he could do athletically. It's like then you're the best player in the league, right? Like, I mean,
At one point, we were talking this season about how, or people were talking this season about how Ben Simmons could have been in the MVP running at one point.
Sure.
Like,
sure.
so frustrating, Ben. Damn it.
Well, you know, hopefully he'll figure it out. He's young. He's young. And again, as I said,
God.
right situation.
That's what I said. Now look at me.
So it's a time for him to get into a new situation, right? Where hopefully that new situation can bring the best out of him. But again, as I said, most teams real shitty at that kind of thing.
Very true. Very true. Let's move on here because we got to talk about another thing that has Jarod a little bit confused, potentially scratching his head. Let's talk about this summer's Tokyo Olympics, postponed from the 2020 games, starting July 6th. Now, training camp will start July 6th in Vegas with Coach Pop. We have a ton of high-profile stars that have committed to Team USA, who has won gold the last 3 years. It's interesting that this many stars have committed already because of the bubble season turnaround time, as well as the injuries that are stacking up now and the shorter turnaround time until the NBA really gets on track next season in the fall. So we have guys committed, veterans right now like Damian Lillard, Drew Holiday, who's still in the postseason going to the conference finals with the Bucks, Devin Booker, same situation there with the Suns.
Chris Middleton.
James Harden, yes, Chris Middleton as well with the Bucks. James Harden, who is still dealing with that grade 2 hamstring strain. Bradley Beal, who had a hamstring injury before the Wizards were bounced out early on in the playoffs. I mean, Jason Tatum, who was having trouble breathing, and he's also on the dysfunction of the Celtics, who are still looking for a head coach and have a new head of basketball of operations in Brad Stevens. The list goes on. Kevin Durant had off a stellar season off that Achilles. The list, again, goes on. Kevin Love, I mean, he was asked. I love you, Kevin, but come on. Draymond Green, no argument there. All right. And Bam Adebayo. I mean, out of this entire list, I think 2 guys there aren't in a predicament of still playing or injured. I mean, we have guys who declined, like Donovan Mitchell, Steph Curry, Chris Paul, Jimmy Butler, LeBron James, Anthony
Smart.
Davis, but
Smart.
exactly, smart, especially for, again, players like LeBron James, who, although he is arguably the greatest player ever in this season, don't get me on that Michael Jordan slander, he's dealing with that bum ankle. So talk to me about this roster, though. This is very surprising to me. I mean, you're potentially playing with fire here. Again, all due respect to Team USA, but man, a little bit of confusion around this roster.
I hate it, Jenna, to be straight up. Like, I think it's stupid. Like,
I love your candor.
well, let's start with Durant. Like, bro, you've already won 2 Olympic gold medals. Like, what are you doing? And you're coming off an Achilles injury you had 2 years ago. Yes, you played extremely well this season. You were back to KD, arguably the best player in the world. My dude, you just got off a grueling 7-game series where you averaged 40-plus minutes a game.
I was just going to say, he just played 50 in that last game, didn't he, or something
like
that? Yeah,
52. He played all the full game and overtime. And now you want to go play Olympic ball starting July 6th? And if they win the gold medal, you're going all the way through August. Okay. Training camp starts in September. You're going to have, what, 2 weeks off? Like, I get it, Kevin. You're a hooper. You love basketball. You're a real... I get it. I get all that. But, my dude, the science of performance says you need rest.
Would know. I mean, you talk to so many medical professionals in the sports space about this.
It's just a fact. So, coming into next season, we don't want situations where you got, oh, here we go, the hamstring's acting up again. Oh, his calf is acting up again.
Yeah.
And that's going to be because of all that basketball you played all summer. It's like, bro, you got to just chill out. I know for a fact the Nets don't want him to play. For a fact, they don't want him to.
I was just going to ask you.
They don't.
I wonder what the rumblings are and who, you know what I mean? Just because if I'm on the Nets, no matter if I'm a player, whether I'm Kyrie Irving, whether I'm James Harden, or I'm Steve Nash or part of the coaching staff, I'd be like, man, okay, you know what? Let's bite this one. You know, we had our big 3 who didn't play a lot together this season. We had injuries, so many things stacked against us. However, next year when we try to make a full championship run healthy in the East now let's remember that we're going to have a healthy Lakers team. We're going to have a healthy Warriors team. And they're not anybody to mess with when they're healthy. I think a lot of people are forgetting that.
No doubt.
And then you got this healthy Clippers team. And, of course, the Suns.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I hate to say this, but what are you thinking, KD? And he's a smart man. He's a very smart man.
Look, part of it is we know he's a hooper. He wants to hoop. The Nets can't tell him no. So it doesn't, I mean, whether they want him not to, they can't say no to him. And I think that's a collectively bargained thing too, like in the CBA, because in the summertime, you're not getting paid by the team in the summertime, right? Once your season ends is when you get your last check. So he's not employed by them technically in the summer. So he can do what he wants with the exception of like skydiving and crazy stuff like that. But, right? Like, he can do whatever he wants, basically. And Kevin's a hooper. He's going to hoop. But again, we're talking about your career and being able to continue to play at this high level in games that matter. I know representing your country is a big deal, but you've done it multiple times already. You already got 2 Olympic golds. You got a world championship gold. Like, I mean, what new experience are you going to have? Like, you've already done this. Like, this isn't something new for you. Harden, you are on a grade 2 hamstring right now. And if training camp starts July 6th, like, what? Like, none of this makes sense to me. None whatsoever. Honestly, the Olympic team really should be our 25 and under guys. And I think the limit should be if you made it past the first round, no. But if you were first round or you didn't make the playoffs, fine. But anybody past the first round, I just don't think it's worth it, man. I know these teams don't want that. Look, everybody's like, all right, we're going back to normal next year. 82 games in a normal season is still a lot, right? That is still a lot of games. So,
not to mention, these guys aren't going to be fully back in the swing of things, not the next season, but the next season.
So it's just
how it's working.
It's crazy, man. Like, I don't like it at all. Again, particularly if you are someone who's already been on an Olympic team multiple times. The other thing is, and it's worth noting, Jenna, depending on who you are, you may have other considerations as to why you are going to the Olympics. We know the teams obviously play a lot of these guys, the max guys, big money. But a lot of these guys are also employed by Nike, Adidas, and all these shoe companies. And, these shoe companies pay them a lot of money. For someone like Kevin Durant and James Harden, a hell of a lot of money. If your shoe company's like, look, we're doing a campaign around you in the Olympics, we need you to be in Tokyo, you kind of got to go, right? You can't say no. I mean, you could say no. You got to give the money back, right? Like, so, I mean, so let's
or
not.
It could be in their contract.
Right. Let's not overlook the fact that they may have sponsorship duties.
Right.
And because we know that Nike and Adidas, they have for their athletes, they often do Asian tours every summer. And it may be a situation where they're like, look, we need you to be over there for this because the Tokyo market's important to us, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Hey, you got to go. Again, that I'm speculating on that part, but I do know that for the Nets guys in particular, I know the performance staff does not want those two guys playing Olympic basketball. That I do know. But, we'll see what happens.
Oh, we shall see, man. I mean, again, these injuries, they just make me weary. They make me nervous.
Yeah, especially if you're coming off. And remember, Durant had the hamstring issue this season, right? The Achilles was fine, but he also had to load manage him with the Achilles. He didn't play a lot of back-to-backs. Like, look, there's just no point in overstressing this muscle, right? And I get it. The athlete knows his body better. They want to hoop. They're rhythm players, all that. But we have to start making it known to these players and educating them about the importance of the science of performance, right?
Yeah. I think they. Who knows? I'm praying. I'm wishing good health.
Oh yeah, I want to be clear. I'm not rooting for injuries. Like I don't want that, right? But I do know overuse. Overuse is one of the leading causes of injuries. That's what I do know. That's a fact.
Heck yeah. Speaking of facts, let them know the facts where they can find us.
As always, you guys know where to find us. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. We're on Twitter at 7footerspod, on Instagram at 7footerspodcast, at JS Hector, at Gentleman Selly, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Spent a couple years out here with these raps, trying to have a plan that we made come true. Applied to some jobs, but I ain't hit back. I don't wanna trap, what's a man gonna do? Chevy told me come